Hello and welcome back, everybody. I've got a quick gardening tip I want to share with you today. The wife and I are out in the garden. We've been doing some chop and drop and some weed pulling, and it came to mind that I should probably share with you what I'm doing with all the weeds that we're pulling out of the garden, and that is making a garden weed tea, a homemade fertilizer. It's free, a great way to utilize those weeds growing in your garden instead of just tossing them out or throwing them in the compost pile where they could potentially reroot or seed themselves once again. So you can probably tell things have opened up quite a bit in the garden. That's because, like I said, we were doing our chop and drop, pulling some weeds. And so the material that we chopped that was just plant material, not weeds, I dropped to the ground, and I'm using that as a mulch and a soil builder. And this stuff's gonna break down relatively quick. So although it looks a little bit funky right now, it's all gonna break down and disappear very quickly. We got everything from the borage to perennial greens to artichoke. This area over here, you can see where I've laid down the cardboard and started to chop and drop some of the plants, but we've still got some more material to add. But here's an example of some of the weeds we've been pulling up that we don't just want to throw onto the ground because it can reroot very easily. This is bindweed. The good thing is we've been getting this before it actually flowers and goes to seed. And that's a good idea when making a garden tea like what we're doing today. If you can get it before it seeds, that's even better. So if you just have a small amount of weeds in your garden, you can use a 5-gallon bucket for this. But for us, I'm going to be using this barrel here. I think this is 35 gallons because we got a decent amount of weeds throughout the garden that we're going to add to this batch. Now, it's a good idea to cut these weeds up into smaller pieces. It's going to help it to break down relatively quick. But the whole idea here is that we're going to add our weeds into our vessel, and then we're going to add water. We're going to top it with water. If you can do about 50-50, that'd be good. And we're going to basically make a sludge over the course of the next week to 2 weeks. You can even use it after a couple days, really. We've got a bunch of bindweed in here right now. There's some grass and other weeds inside. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some comfrey and some other plants and go ahead and throw some more weeds in here as well and fill this up. And then we'll top it off with some water. So here we got some chickweed and some grass, some bindweed. This is all going to go into the brew. A bunch of just grass, it looks like. All right, so we got a good amount of some of the native weeds that we're growing in the garden in this vessel here. Now I'm going to add in some of those nutrient-dense plants like I was talking about, the comfrey, and also some of the branches from the willow tree. I'm going to chop them up and put them in there. They're high in plant hormones, which are also good for using in your fertilizer. And we'll go for some of the tip growth, the newer growth on the tree. That's where there's the highest concentration of these hormones. And I'm just paying attention where I'm making my cuts. Try to get right above a node that's outward facing. That's good. Add in the comfrey. Cut up some of this willow here. Like I said, it's a good idea to actually shred up and cut all the different weeds you add in here. So just do the best you can. Don't make too much work out of this. Now, as far as the water is concerned, it would be best to use rainwater or pond water. Chlorinated tap water, not the best idea, but you know what? Sometimes that's all we have, or that's the most convenient. And so in this case, that's what I'll be using. So while the barrel's filling up with water, I'm going to go make a nice cover for this barrel here. That way no critters, no mosquitoes make a home in here. And for that, you can use either some window screen or some row cover, whatever you have that'll allow air to breathe, but still keep it protected from something as small as a mosquito getting in there. In this case, I'll be using some row cover. So the main thing with this technique is to make sure that all that plant material is submerged under the water during this process. So we're going to fill above the level of where the plant material is, and then I'm going to add the stone on top and hope to weight things down. And then we'll go ahead and put our cover on the top. From there, you're going to want to stir this up every single day as long as you're making your brew. And like I said, you can start using it in a couple days. You're going to want to filter it out. That way, if there are any weed seeds in here, it's not going to go in with your tea brew. You're not going to be scattering any weeds around. But that's about it. I did bring this little pole out over here. This is what I'll use to stir it with every day. So I'll leave that nearby. All right, that's pretty good. There we go. And so with that, I want to thank you all for watching. If you did like this video today, be sure to smash that thumbs up. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you can follow along this project and all the other projects we got growing on around here. Until next time, this is Dan from plantabundance.com. Take care. I'll be talking to you again soon.